Hello everybody, I am David, and today I want to talk about this whole CGI special effects thing where you go into a movie and you see an actor looking young nowadays. Some people call it the Uncanny Valley. Recently it was used in Rogue One. Not only did they make someone look like the age that they were back in 1977, but they also managed to bring another actor back to life. Which was Star Wars Rogue One. In that movie, General Tarkin, who was played by Peter Cushing in the original Star Wars movie, was brought back to life. Well, not really. There was another actor playing him, but he inserted the original actor's face onto this other actor who was playing him in the movie. Carrie Fisher, obviously, who passed away recently, was also, well, she wasn't brought back to life. This had already happened before she passed away, so they had gotten her permission, and you always need to get people's permissions when you're going to use their likenesses. And I'm sure Peter Cushing, his family, you know, the studio got their permission to use his likeness in the film to help connect it better to the original film. And again, Princess Leia, who was made to look young in this film once again like she did in that year. I want to talk about it because I think this technology is really cool, and the idea on where it could go for future films astonishes me. I think it's really, there's a lot of potential there. I know some people are iffy with it because, you know, clearly they haven't mastered. But if you go back all the way to Tron Legacy back in, I think that was in 2010, in that movie, that's the first time I remember it being used. Tron Legacy, where they made Jeff Bridges look young. And I remember seeing that for the first time and being surprised about it. Obviously, if you go back and watch it now, it looks terrible compared to the ones that have come out more recently, but I've been liking it since then. I think the idea of it intrigues me, and where it can go, where I'll talk about very soon. We also had it in Ant-Man, which I think was used the best when they made Michael Douglas look young again. I thought that was the best use of it so far, because that one I actually almost believed. There's always little movements that you can tell that it's CGI, but sometimes, like even Tarkin, there were times where, yeah, you could tell it was CGI, but then there were other times you were like, man, that does almost look like it's the real guy back to life. And Robert Downey Jr. also had that done to him in Captain America Civil War in the very beginning of that movie. And obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean is going to be doing it as well with Johnny Depp, it looks like. So this has brought me to think a little bit more about this technology and the idea of what it could give us in the future. For a lot of people, you know, the studio Sony made a new Ghostbusters movie. Obviously, they replaced the original cast because, let's face it, every time most of these movies do the return of the old farts, it's true. They always have to put all these, you know, oh, we're old now. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. You know, they'll put all those cliched lines that you probably heard a million times in movies like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, or Die Hard, A Good Day to Die Hard, which was the 5th Die Hard movie, or stuff like that. You know, there's always these very cliched lines and stuff that they'll use over and over. We get it. The person is old now. I think one of the few movies to do it really well was Creed with Sylvester Stallone. But what I really like about this technology is that, let's say Sony wants to do, if Sony was smart, this is what I would do anyways. I would try doing a true Ghostbusters 3 and bring back Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson. Obviously, you can't get back Harold Ramis, but you can replace him and try to ask his family, hey, can we use your husband or your family's members' likeness to make a true sequel to Ghostbusters 3? I think fans would forgive people, the directors, for recasting and making the likeness. And that way you can set a Ghostbusters 3 maybe sometime after Ghostbusters 2, in the early 90s maybe. And you can do a story there, and make the actors look young again, even if you need stunt doubles to take over for them. And then they could do the voices of themselves later, because their voices aren't that different from what it was back in 1989, the last Ghostbusters movie was. So the idea of that, I love that idea, that you could actually do a Ghostbusters 3 with that technology, bring back the old guys, but don't make them look old, make them look young, have a true, as if it was a Ghostbusters 3 that came out right after Ghostbusters 2. Or, it doesn't have to be Ghostbusters. It could be, maybe Warner Brothers wants to do another Batman movie that takes place in Michael Keaton's Batman universe. I was thinking of this because Screen Junkies on their movie fights was having a battle over this. And one movie that I thought would be cool would be a Michael Keaton Batman movie. Bring Michael Keaton back, Chris O'Donnell, and bring back Danny DeVito as the Penguin, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and do a remake of the 1966 Batman movie, but with those actors instead. And you can make them all look young again. It would be really, really cool, I think. Especially since that's a remake of a movie that I would have loved to see back in the 90s. I remember wishing that one. It's always cool when villains team up, and they did that quite a bit in the Batman movies. But those 4 villains would have been really, and those 4 actors returning as those villains would have been really cool. We just didn't want George Clooney to play Batman, and I'm sure he didn't want it either. Another movie I thought would be useful for it is Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford. We know he's coming back to do Indiana Jones 5. Spielberg wants him no matter what. I think they should set Indiana Jones back in the 1940s during World War II, because that was a really cool era for Indiana Jones, and make Harrison Ford look young again. Get a stunt double if he needs it to, when he's not in the shot. And that would probably be easier to hide their faces too if you use a CGI digital younger version of Harrison Ford. I think the technology could really help us get some sequels that were long overdue and that should have been done a long time ago, and kind of continue it where it last left off. I think it would be an interesting idea if someone in Hollywood did that. See, guys, I have brains, but you know what? I noticed it's only Disney so far that's playing with this technology, and I don't know if any other movies have done it yet. The ones besides the ones that I mentioned, I might be missing a few, but the ones that I mentioned are the ones that I noticed that have really used that technology. And I think it would be, I think Disney is interested in it, and I think they see the potential in it. And I hope other studios see the potential in it too, because it could really benefit for, instead of doing these old-timers getting back into the action, why not just keep them young and do the sequel as like a true spirited sequel to the originals. So that is my opinion on all this. I think the technology is great. Give me your opinion on the technology that they've been using to make actors look younger. Comment below, let me know. And guys, subscribe to my channel if you are a new viewer. And like this video if you agree with me. And until next time, guys, take care.